Hey guys, and welcome to the Apple iPad mini unboxing, quick review, and comparison of some of the other tablets that it's competing with. This iPad mini comes in a 16 gig, 32 gig, and 64 gig versions, and the lowest price point is $329 for the 16 gig, $429 for the 32, and $529 for the 64, and just add $130 to each model for 4G LTE connectivity that is available on the new iPad mini. Now the specs include a dual-core A5 processor, 5 megapixel camera, HD front-facing camera, and it comes preloaded with the new iOS 6, and it has 512 megabytes of RAM. So this basically is the internals of the iPad 2, or you can say it's the internals of the iPod Touch 5th generation in a bigger package. So let's go ahead and unbox this, and you can see right there that you're greeted with the display, and the display is a 7.9 inch IPS display that is 1024 by 768 in resolution. So this is non-retina display. This is one of the first devices they have released without a retina display in a long time. So that's something that you need to be aware of when you buy this iPad mini. So let's go ahead and take a look at the stuff that comes with it. And I'm very surprised that it comes with one of these lower watt power plugs like the iPhone 5 did, since it does have a much bigger battery inside. So I'm very surprised about that, and I'll let you know how the charging goes on that and how long it takes to charge. And inside you get the iPad mini quick start guide, some info, and your infamous Apple stickers. So let's go ahead and put that aside, and you do get the USB to Lightning connector right there, and that's used for charging and data connectivity. So let's go ahead and put all this stuff aside, and we'll be neat with it here and put this box to the side. And let's get to the star of the show, the iPad mini. So let's go ahead and take this back cover off, and this is the 16 gigabyte model, by the way, Wi-Fi only at launch, but in a couple weeks the LTE versions should be out for your respective carriers. So you can see this anodized aluminum in the back there and looks really nice. On the left side you see the mute switch and the volume rockers up and down. On the bottom you get stereo speakers this time, 2 speakers, and the Lightning port. And on the opposite side you see nothing, and on the top you see a sleep wake button, the microphone up top, and you also see a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack to use with your headphones. So there's the display there, and it looks nice, but I'll go ahead and turn it on in just a minute. But let's do a quick comparison of the iPad with Retina display here. And you can see that is a 9.7 inch display. So if you put that on there, you can see how small the iPad mini is. It's not very big. And this might be good for some people that want a lighter form factor instead of the larger iPad that is available as well. And here is the Google Nexus 7, which is a 7-inch tablet, which I think it's pretty much competing with at this point. And you can see how much narrower the Google Nexus 7 is compared to the iPad mini. The iPad mini is a lot wider in the hand, so that's also something to consider when you're buying. And just for giggles, we'll just throw the iPod Touch 5th generation in there just to compare in sizes. So let's just go ahead and get all this stuff out of the way and take a look at the iPad mini. So we'll go ahead and boot this on, and since it's pretty glary out here, I'll go ahead and boot this on and I will show you how the screen looks. Alright, now the iPad mini is booted up, and it seems to be on first impression pretty quick with this operation. No real stutters or lags or anything. It seems to do very well on touch response. So on first impression, everything looks really good and everything looks very snappy. Now, the screen itself, you can definitely tell that it is pixelated, and it is definitely not as sharp as the Retina displays. But it is not disgusting, or you would think that it would totally turn you off or anything. The screen actually looks pretty good, but it's just not up to Retina standards that are on the iPad 4 or the iPad 3rd generation. So you can see here, very good. Pinch zoom response is fantastic. And I don't think performance will be a big problem with the iPad mini whatsoever. So it's very similar to the iPod Touch 5th generation in terms of specs. So it should run very well. So here is the screen compared to the iPad with Retina display. And you can tell if you look up there where it says there's less, you can tell there's more significant pixelation on the iPad mini. And if you look here from a farther distance, you can also tell that the screen on the iPad with Retina display is brighter as well and much sharper. And you can see it here as well. Now let's go ahead and look at the Nexus 7, and the Nexus 7 screen seems to be a little dimmer, and the IPS display of the new iPad mini seems to be a little bit brighter with a little bit better whites, but you can see that the Nexus 7 is sharper in resolution. Now you will see that the bezel on the iPad mini is very, very thin, so if you're holding it landscape like that, the thumb might get in the way and it might not be as comfortable. But if you put it in landscape orientation, the bezel is a little thicker, so I think it'll be more comfortable holding it this way. In comparison to something like a Nexus 7, where the bezels are thicker on each side, so it's a little easier to hold in the hand. But if you look at the Nexus 7 and the iPad mini compared to each other, you can just see how much wider the iPad mini is in comparison to the Nexus 7. You can also see here that the iPad mini is extremely thin, and here it is stacked against a Nexus 7. You can really see how much thinner the iPad mini is. And you can also see how thin the iPad mini is in comparison to the iPad Retina display. You can definitely tell it's much thinner and much smaller. Now, if you look at the design cues of the iPad mini, it literally folds over to the iPod Touch 5th generation with the bezeled edges, the rocker switches. The design language is definitely carried over from the iPod Touch 5th generation and the iPhone 5. So what do you guys think about this iPad mini? Will you be getting one? Are you disappointed with the non-Retina display? What do you think? An iPad in a smaller form factor? We'll definitely take a look at this and get into it in the full review. But if you like this, please give me a thumbs up, for it helps a lot. And please subscribe to my channel, for I have a lot more videos that you will enjoy. Thanks for watching.